I think it is time for NXT to take over.
Suplex City, bitch.
What's your favorite match?
My favorite match was with Melina and Alicia Fox.
Who?
I told my father I'm gonna set up my own lucha league in America, and I'm gonna make it the best league in the world.
I'm gonna leave him in a pile of blood and urine and vomit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk More Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast will review pay-per-views and talk wrestling bullshit. Yes, that's right.
That's right, we'll go with that, all Austin style.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. It's just I thought that would be a unique way to do the start of the podcast and open up a can of audio Warpass, trademarked obviously by Mr. Austin right there. My name is Turbo Tony, we're here with Matt Marsander. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad actually, Tony. So, that was impressive. But it was, I say that. No.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk.
I take that back.
Okay, we're going to talk about Money in the Bank, obviously. Otherwise, you clicked the video saying Money in the Bank 2015.
Otherwise, we've wasted your time.
Yeah, obviously. Well, fuck it. Let's just talk about SummerSlam 2005. Why not? Let's just do that now.
Yeah.
No, of course not. Money in the Bank happened over the weekend, and it was available on pay-per-view and on the WWE Network. And it is the last pay-per-view of a long stint without Brock Lesnar, as he is due to return soon.
Yep.
So a lot of the big storylines will be ending now, and then they'll be starting up a new batch leading into the SummerSlam sort of rush going in there. So we're going to review Money in the Bank top to bottom, in chronological order, of course, and we're going to basically state along the lines of the fact that there was a few missteps on this show. I think myself and Matt can probably safely agree on that.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this show was fairly decent. Not to give any spoilers away, but obviously we'll give our thoughts on whether or not you should catch this show at the end. It's kind of a mixed bag, shall we say, in terms of what we go Money in the Bank. So, without further ado, without any further procrastination, we should probably get into this thing. We should probably, talk about Money in the Bank.
Just get on with it.
Whenever I think of Money in the Bank, funny enough, and I know it's going off on a weird tangent, but I don't know why. Whenever Money in the Bank time comes around, I've got that fucking theme song stuck in my head.
Money, money, money,
money, money, money, money. It's just like that's literally the only lyric in that entire song. So. Yeah.
The worst part is the fact that I've been going back and watching WrestleMania 24, and it's like when Money in the Bank was at Mania.
And you said they're like literally the only person that's actually still contractually linked to the company.
Kind of, yeah. It's Jericho.
Yeah, and
MVP gone, Carlito gone,
CM Punk gone,
yeah. Shelton gone.
Would you agree with me, just before we get into the review, that the Money in the Bank tends to have a good lineage of having decent pay-per-views, though? More often than not. I remember last year not being as good, but still decent enough. And
yeah, solid.
Every now and then they'll throw a Money in the Bank 2011 at you, and obviously we talked about that on the last podcast as well. Just before we get in, like I said, no further procrastination. Beyond this, I promise, if you do want to follow us on Twitter, the Twitter handle is...
At Talk WrestlePod.
At Talk WrestlePod, of course it is. And that way you can catch all of Matt's thoughts in regards to that and send any questions. You still have time to send in questions for this week's main podcast at the end of the week as well. So let's get into the pre-show. R-Truth facing King Barrett. Didn't watch this, Matt. I imagine you didn't.
Nor did I.
No. To be honest, I didn't have any desire to go out and watch this, if I'm honest. And yeah, I think the last pre-show I actually went and watched was probably Mania, and that's because I was getting everything ready for the podcast and I had it on in the background, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do have the result. Didn't watch it, don't know how good it was, but I doubt there's many people clamoring for an R-Truth King Barrett match, but still. And I think it's quite hilarious how the King of the Ring magic is already working its jobbing spells over our compatriot Wade Barrett.
It's happened again. I'm King of the Ring, and you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lose a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, who loses to R-Truth nowadays? R-Truth of all people.
That's
the guy
it.
didn't even know that he had a match on this show. Let alone
yeah, exactly. And I'm going to be in the Money in the Bank. You're not in it.
Oh, yeah, but you're fighting Barrett. Oh, that's an easy win. He's King of the Ring, so...
Yeah.
He must have been quite happy with that. Yeah, it's really bad. Like we said before, and like I said, I'm kind of sick and tired of talking about it at this point. But it's a little bit like we had said all along with the King of the Ring. You need to make it an achievement, not a gimmick. Because if you make it a gimmick, this sort of shit happens. Because it's not an achievement to be King of the Ring. He's just using it as gimmick. Oh, it's horrendous. But to be honest, guys, we kind of knew this was going to happen. All of us, didn't we? In the back of our minds. Me and Matt fucking called it as soon as he won the fucking thing. So
like, time to lose.
Yeah, it was almost like, with that final we had against Neville. It was a little bit like, well, Neville dodged a bullet there, did he not? He just like, fucking hell.
Yeah, he could be set up to lose from here on out.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully this whole King Barrett nonsense will move on soon, because when you're jobbing to the likes of R-Truth, Jesus, like that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good. The show started off, the main show, of course, started off with a tribute to the late Dusty Rhodes. They did a 10-bell salute with all of the roster out on the, on the ramp, on the, the actual stage.
Run, yeah.
And one of the things I liked about this, often they will do this, and everyone's quite sad as they should be, obviously. But what I liked about this, as soon as they put Dusty Rhodes' theme song on, suddenly all the fans started really getting into the theme, and they were, kind of jigging around, and some of the wrestlers were as well, and everyone was enjoying it, which is good, because I don't know about you, Matt, and this is obviously down to each person, but I always feel that remembrance should be a celebration of someone's life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like seeing all these people and these young kids as well getting really into it and stuff. That to me,
loving it, yeah.
Yeah, that gave me a smile. I was like, that's exactly the sort of stuff that Dusty.
Especially the amount of signs in the crowd as well.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, obviously with the news dropping that soon, to it all.
Yeah.
And although it happened later on in the show, we'll reference it now. The video package they aired later on in the event is absolutely amazing. It's one of the best ones they've done.
It definitely was one of those ones, because I was messaging a mate. I was just like, he also watches wrestling, and it's just sort of like, I'm just watching Money in the Bank, and I'm really sad.
Sorry, Matt. You have another friend who watches wrestling? Why have I not been told about this?
There are other people out in this world.
What?
I know.
Excuse me? I guess you'll have to go to their fucking podcast then, won't you? Yeah?
Well, just sort of like, he was sort of going on about work, and I was like, I can't talk about work. I'm really sad now.
I know.
I was like, oh, the feels.
Yeah. But, that we've always said along that WWE's video production side is unparalleled. Sometimes even in entertainment, let alone in wrestling. That's how good, their video editing department are. They're fantastic. And the video package they've done, I could watch that 100 times and still feel impacted by it.
Yeah.
Obviously part of that is obviously Dusty's, impact and along those lines. And the fitting line at the end of that video package is him at NXT, the legacy he leaves behind outside of his family is NXT. So, in the feels, big time, I think is the word on that. And that's a great way to start off the show. Money in the Bank ladder match was the curtain jerker match. I was a little bit shocked that this was. I thought maybe Cena Owens would be the one to start it off. But
I was a bit sort of shocked myself. It's like, it's the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And what are we going to do? Have the Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
Oh, so now there's no real point.
Well, we're looking back at the time, I was a little bit like, huh? That's a bit odd. But to be honest, considering that, where else would you put this? You'd probably have to do it just before the main event. And because, let's face it, even though it's a Money in the Bank ladder match, the WWE title always gets main event privilege.
Yeah.
So
it's the title, but
yeah, but then essentially what you're having is two ladder matches back to back. So kind of, if you look in that way, they've kind of spaced out that gimmick.
Paced it nicely enough, yeah.
So if you look at it in that point of view, I don't have that much of an issue with it, because it did what it needed to. It was a fun match. There was a lot of spots here. You give like the likes of Neville, Ziggler, Kingston, basically
got a feel for Kofi, considering it's like he got broke.
Yeah, he got hurt big time on this match with those power bombs. But all of them, as you say there, Matt, like the other two as well, they delivered on their bump card. The other ones less so, but those definitely.
They don't have to.
Yeah. You don't see the likes of Roman Reigns needing to flip off of a ladder, and same for Orton and stuff like this, but. When you've got guys like Neville and stuff like that. Remember when we got asked that question how would you book WrestleMania 32? And I said, well, if you're going to do a Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania, then you need a few guys that can do those sort of spots, you know?
I think it's you can't have all sort of flyers. Like you need jumpers and catchers.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it in a very sense of terms of how you're going to do the spots as well, you know, you need a dominant guy in there like a Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
you know, or like a Sheamus if you look at it in that point of view as well. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, I thought this match was everything I'd hoped it would be. It was satisfactory in terms of spectacle, holy shit moments, good work. I think for everyone. Everyone kind of got their moments.
Yep.
Maybe less so to Kingston, who was more there to kind of take a battering more than anything else. But
and didn't he just?
Yeah, he did.
It's the way that ladder was set up. I was like, okay, like you have my interest. What are you going to do with my God? And it just still laid out there, and then here comes Neville as well. Oh, you're going to get powerbombed onto Kingston.
It was like coming from me, who's probably one of the biggest, you know, anti-Kingston guys. You know, like with my track record of what I've said about the man, even I felt sorry for him. You know, like that was all. That did not look
tough.
That did not look comfortable, shall we say? So let's talk about the finish here. Let's talk about actually what happened in this match. Sheamus and Neville are at the top of the ladder. Looks like Neville's going to kind of get the best of Sheamus, and Sheamus grabs his hair and literally just like kind of pushes him a little bit. Neville falls off.
Like, no, you go away.
Yeah. Sheamus wins the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now,
sigh.
Exactly. That is the problem with this finish, is that I can't imagine any fan being genuinely excited about Sheamus having that briefcase. It's a very meh sort of, you know, results to that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I messaged you about it. Sort of like, he can't win the Elimination Chamber for an IC title, but he could win Money in the Bank ladder. It's sort of like, what place is he in his career at the moment? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, to answer that, I think that's a little bit easier because, you know, in the Money in the Bank, it kind of is a match for whoever gets that opportunity at the right time, because you're not taking a pinfall or anything along those lines. So,
yeah.
Okay. But I will agree with you that he hasn't been main event really for years. So to think that he would be fighting anyone or cashing in or lo and behold becoming a champion, the only champion, you know, of the company, the, you know, big time main event champion, that to me is a little bit like Sheamus is so far away from being anywhere relevant and interesting, even with his change, even with becoming a heel. It's just not
being the tough heel.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not nearly as bored of him as I was before he got injured. You know, I will admit that, but that doesn't mean that, you know, I could be less annoyed at the Miz on a weekly basis. Doesn't mean I want him to be champion. That's completely different.
Yeah.
A lot of people are defending the choice. I'm not as angry about it. I just think it's a very boring choice. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, it was a bit meh.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I quite liked is like there was a lot of spots that sort of came out quite well. I think Neville took a wonderful RKO.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
When sort of Orton just like, your leg, let's flip it.
Yeah.
Drop.
Yeah, and you know what? The minute that was happening, I knew that Neville was going to be taking some sort of big move, and you know, did he just?
Yeah.
It's awkward. It's weird though that with a guy like Neville, he didn't win the award for most bumps. It was definitely Kingston. He was just getting thrown around left, right, and centre. Or maybe Ziggler as well. Ziggler took a lot.
I saw Ziggler bleed.
Yeah, he got hit in the head with the ladder, didn't he? And
it was just sort of like afterwards. I think it was like after the match when everyone was like, "Oh, look at everyone be really sad they didn't win." I was like, "Hang on a second,
yeah.
Ziggler has colour."
Yeah. Well, not much like Ric Flair style, but yeah,
not like last time. Ziggler, Sheamus colour.
Oh Jesus, yeah, that was pretty profuse. Now this was just a little bit, and it wasn't even down his face or anything like that. But yeah, like I said, it's hard for fans to get genuinely excited. I think that does kind of go down as well to the way Sheamus has been booked since he came in, because he has been booked like a mid-card star. And there isn't many. I honestly thought they would give it to Reigns, and Reigns could run with it for a while, or they give it to someone low.
That's what we both predicted, wasn't it?
Yeah. But okay, let's see where they go with this. I'm not that interested. I think that's the issue, but at very least on this show, at least I had a finish that somewhat made sense. Going into a match that didn't make sense. There's two of them on this show, and unfortunately they were both as moronic as each other. First one is Nikki Bella versus Paige. Now, Paige, before the match, cut a promo that I believe that her champion, on the other side, adjacent to her, should probably watch, because it was way more believable than anything Nikki Bella has done on, in any speaking capacity.
Ever.
Yeah, ever, really. I mean, in Paige, her promo wasn't particularly amazing. It was good, but I mean, even that is miles above what anything.
It was solid, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a divide between them. And she did give a nod to Dusty Rhodes before the match, obviously having worked a lot with him during her time, down in developmental. Now, the match itself, let's talk about the match itself. I thought the match itself was half decent. Not amazing, but half decent. They had some good moves here.
Yeah.
I think it did struggle a little bit at times, just being a little bit lackluster. At the end, I thought it picked up.
I think Nikki has the same problem as Cena.
What do you mean?
She talks too much.
She does. Oh, yeah. Yeah, earlier on, especially in the beginning of this match. Jeez, she was...
Not even in the beginning. Like, it was about, nearly, sort of not too far from the finish. And that's all I heard was, pick me up. Or, flip me over or something. I was just sort of
Come on.
Nikki Bella, you talk too much.
Do you remember when Paige apparently got a bollocking because she did that in their match with AJ Lee? Nikki Bella would.
Oh, what, during the triple threat? Yeah.
But like I said, Nikki Bella won't get any slap wrists for that. As a girl.
No, it's ridiculous.
Let's talk about the finish. Here we go. And I will try and explain this as best I can, because WWE obviously don't know what they're doing.
Somebody must have patted themselves on the back for this.
Yeah. Because it's spectacular, the finish. Oh, I will not deny that. It's spectacular. It's unique, Matt. It's very unique. The problem is it makes no fucking sense. It is dumb. It doesn't make any... I don't know how best to explain it, right? It shouldn't be feasible how this ended, right? And it's down to WWE's inconsistency, which is the magic word we used to say ages ago. So let's talk to you about it. So you all know what happens here. Twin magic happens, right?
Again.
So Nikki Bella's laid out because she's had the rampage on. Looks like Paige is about to get the victory. And then, twin magic happens. Brie takes her place. But instead of Brie winning the match, Paige pins Brie.
Yeah.
They ring the bell. Paige is celebrating. And then Brie is like, well, wait, I'm not my sister. And starts ripping out, piles of tissue out of her
look, tattoos and tissue paper tits. Oh,
which
God.
I thought, by the way, they've obviously been listening to our show, because we said that before, in order to make it a little bit more convincing that maybe she should stuff her bra, which obviously she did this time. And what happens here is that Nikki comes back in, lays out Paige, gets the win, retains her belt. If you look at that finish, technically that's okay, right? Because technically the match hadn't finished. You just pinned someone who wasn't really there, right?
Yeah.
The problem with this match is what happened 2 weeks ago, and the consistency and the base that they made for this, because the referee technically didn't end the match, right? Because he allowed the match to continue, in which case Nikki got the pin. Nikki got the pin and won the match, because technically the match wasn't over. She just pinned a random person who came in. And if you look at it that way, the match probably should have ended in DQ if you're looking at it that anally, right? Because Brie came in and technically tried to pin Paige. Well, you can look at that as as someone attacking them. They're doing a move on them. So you can look at it as anally as you like from that. But here's the issue. 2 weeks ago, they did the exact same finish, except Brie Bella won the match, and the referee did know afterwards that Brie Bella was the one who did it. So instead of continuing the match and saying...
I see she can win a match for her sister, but she can't lose it for her sister.
Exactly. They've set a precedence that they were unable to uphold with this finish. Yeah. And that's what makes it stupid, because either the referees want Nikki Bella to win, which, obviously we know this, but we're looking at it in terms of storyline, but either the referees want them to win, or they're just fucking stupid. It's one of the two. There's no middle ground there, Yeah. Otherwise, they 2 weeks ago in that title, because that was a title match, if you remember, Matt.
Yep.
Then it would have been along the lines of, okay, so Brie pinned Paige, so I'm restarting the match, because the match technically didn't finish. So that match would have continued. So what WWE have done here is that they've set a precedence for them, forgotten about it, and carried on this finish anyway, which is obviously completely dumb. And it makes the referees out to be just fucking idiots. Jesus, like the most moronic people I've ever heard. Pending the fact they can't tell, Diva, Bella from Bella, when they do look quite different nowadays. I think people can agree with that, right?
I think it's safe to say that, like, earlier on in their career, you could have easily have told the difference. Not so much now.
Yeah. Well, no, I know what you mean in terms of you wouldn't be able to tell the difference back then,
Yeah.
So this completely pisses in the wind of consistency, and it kind of is a bit of a slap in the face to fans because it's kind of insulting not only our knowledge and our intelligence, but our memory. It's only 2 weeks ago, guys. They're expecting you to forget what happened 2 weeks ago to make this finish seem feasible.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It is.
But no.
It's so insulting. It really is. And the only way that they could fix it is if the referee comes out and say, "I'm a fucking idiot. We're gonna have a match." And it's like, but they're not gonna do that, obviously, are they? They're just gonna have all this going on. It was a stupid finish. It was one of the most stupid ones I've seen in a while. Because, as you say, Matt, do you feel like as soon as that finish happened, I was a little bit like my intelligence has been a little bit insulted?
Yeah, it's sort of like really put to the test, or just like, but you buy that, don't you? No. You want to buy it? No.
No, I was not buying this for shit. I was a little bit. I was very much like, that is absolute bullshit. So, yeah. Watch it for the match if you like, but the ending will piss you off to high heaven. It really will. So, be as it may. Big Show versus Ryback. As predicted here, me and Matt did get this prediction completely correct. As in, Miz gets involved and causes a DQ. We said that back on the prediction show that I expected this. I expected Ryback to walk out champion, but I heavily expected Miz to come in and cause a DQ because of him being so, involved and.
Yeah, great. Now we're looking down the barrel of a triple threat.
Yeah.
Which could be good, except the fact that you look at who's in it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, talking about the actual match, though, Matt, I get the feeling that Ryback and Big Show were trying really hard, but still the match wasn't that good.
Yeah.
I get that feeling. They were trying, you could tell. They were doing a lot of high-impact moves, taking their bumps, but to me, it just wasn't. It was better than the majority of Big Show matches, I'll give it that, but no, I wasn't that enthralled by the match. And maybe it was the fact that it was painfully obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Going from there.
There's one thing I never quite actually realised. It was after this, because they had that extra chair out for the Miz to sit between stand commentary and Spanish announce.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Who was the random guy from then on? I kept noticing that there was just some guy in a suit just sat there.
I didn't even notice that. Jeez.
It's just like, it's not Tom Phillips. It's like a really. I was just like,
it would be just funny if it was Mizdow just being Mizdow again, standing there and trying to take the Miz's place, just trying to get that job back, just random.
I'm still here.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I do give them props for trying. It just didn't seem that particularly fantastic. I wasn't that enthralled, shall I say? And I am a little bit worried, and like I said, this is very premature, so I don't want people to go crazy, but I am starting to get a little bit worried that maybe they're not giving Ryback the respect as a champion at this point, because his first title defense was just removed by the Big Show. His second one with the Big Show then ended up in a no contest. I would have hoped he would have been built up a little bit stronger by now, and get a couple of victories, even on Raw at this point, but
he hasn't actually done anything since he's got that title.
Yeah. And like I said, a very valid argument to that is that it's only been 2 weeks, and I will accept that as an argument for now, obviously, because as time goes on. But I'd certainly hope by the time Battleground rolls around, and if he does have a match, that he's picked up a few victories. Because
Battleground is 5 weeks away.
Yeah, they've got time.
Exactly.
They've got more Raws now than they did in the last 2 pay-per-views. You know what I mean? So they've got time to build him up. It's just the years of mid-card titles being treated like crap has me worried. You know what I mean? It immediately makes me edgy, in terms of people winning this belt. And John Cena is the exception. We never got to see how they really wanted to do things with Daniel Bryan because he got injured. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes on from there. But I am a little bit worried. Especially if he loses to the Miz of all people. Jesus Christ.
Don't say that.
Yeah. John Cena versus Kevin Owens 2. The sequel. Now, normally sequels are never as good as the first movie, shall we say, or the first thing. And for all the superlatives we used for the first match, which was fantastic, amazing, innovative, physical, excellent, all these superlatives. One of these superlatives as well that we used, Matt, was match of the year candidate. This match was better than that match.
Yeah, I know. It was just sort of like, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Now, I mean, in terms of the actual match, in terms of actual feeling and getting really enthralled in the match, I'd say the first one was better because of Kevin Owens' debut. You know, you never knew what they were.
There was a lot of unknowns with that one. It's just like, is he going to turn up and fall flat on his face, or you know?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, so for, in terms of the feeling, you know, of the match, number one is it will always be even with number three, I can guarantee you number one would always be the best. But two, in terms of technically what they did and storytelling in the ring, I would pick this one over number one. So I did think it was they pulled off a clinic. These guys, John Cena was pulling out some moves out of his arsehole that he's never used before.
Yeah.
So you know, kudos for that. And I said this to you, Matt. Isn't it strange, especially in Money in the Bank of all places, that John Cena, just funny enough, has great chemistry with former indie stars? You look at like
it's
CM
odd
Punk.
that.
You CM Punk, Sami Zayn. He had a great match with Sami Zayn. You look at obviously Kevin Owens, who he's just tearing the house down with, and having two of the best matches on the main roster so far this year. And it's just like John Cena works well with those indie guys, doesn't he? And yet when you've got the likes of Randy Orton,
who've just come through the system, yeah.
You got Randy Orton and stuff like and people like that. Randy Orton and Sheamus, people he just doesn't work very well with, and you got these guys where it's just they're doing great work. There was loads of close calls here. I felt like the referee was going to break his wrist. The amount of times he was counting two calls within like a couple of seconds. Jesus. And it did feel to me, Matt, it was almost like two massive hammers just banging at each other and seeing which one was going to break first. That's how it felt to me. It was really fun to watch. Obviously until one of them was too exhausted to continue, and it's like, okay, let's go again, you know, sort of thing. So let's go to the finish here. Cena gets the win. We all knew that was going to happen. Let's get real.
The one part of this match, actually, that made me sort of almost shocked is the fact everything seemed crisp, not a single fuck up in sight. And then he botched that little springboard stunner thing. It's just the weakest move of the entire match. It
looks horrible. Like since the moment he started using it, it looks horrendous. And when you got a guy like Kevin Owens who can't sell that shit, then you know something's wrong. You know that something isn't working right. Now we always said before that springboard stunner has got to go. It's awful, that springboard stunner. And like you said there, Matt, it's the only move that you're thinking to yourself that wasn't good. Everything else here was. We even got to see fucking Cena flip around and do sunset flips and all that sort of crap.
Yeah, that's it.
Which you ain't going to see him that often, I guarantee you.
Yeah, I wouldn't get used to it.
Yeah, and it was a good one as well. Jesus, it was very.
Well, that sunset flip into a powerbomb.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, the way that they kind of, you know, they flipped, you know, and also as well, John Cena pulled off a Hurricane Runner that I could actually buy into.
Yeah, let's almost believe it.
Yeah, I was very shocked. I really was. But is it though with this question here? And this will go off to a third match. I already know it. We all knew it going forward anyway.
Only thing is this third match? Are they going for Battleground or?
Yeah, Battleground will be.
Yeah, but or are they just going to push for? I don't know. Maybe push it for SummerSlam. Extend it.
I don't know. They'll probably go. They'll go Battleground. They're not waiting for Lesnar for SummerSlam. They're doing that stuff at Battleground. So you know, I don't think that'll buy into. Which does mean, unfortunately, that SummerSlam kind of looks like it's the second pay-per-view of a new kind of batch, but we'll see from there where it goes. Yeah. Or we might just get Cena Owens 4 because they did that with Rusev as well. So, which was kind of, but the idea of him beating Owens 3 times in a row like he did Rusev. Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sit well with me, does it? So here's my question, Matt: is this the match of the year? Does this beat Becky and Sasha?
No.
That is exactly what I say. No, it still doesn't beat that. And the only reason why... Yeah, go on.
I kind of knew how it was going to finish. Because I was sort of like, it was tainted for me. Because I was like, yeah, but then he's had the match. And now he's going to have the other match. What a shock. And Cena's probably going to win it. Where with Becky and Sasha, I was like, do you know what? I genuinely have no idea. I cannot call it.
And as well, I think that obviously with that match, there was more on the line with Sasha and Becky, you know.
Yeah, agreed.
With this match, it's a little bit, not entirely, but a little bit inconsequential. It doesn't really matter what came out here because we knew Cena was going to win. It was going to a rubber because it's John Cena. So it did take away from the show. But one thing I did say to Matt, that if this match had more on the line, it was built up better, was more final, it wasn't a rematch, then certainly this would be, because it would have a much more emotional impact into the match.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, one thing I will say to its credit, and maybe over time I'll change my mind, this match was a better wrestling match than Sasha and Becky. It just wasn't. I wasn't as entertained by it than I was Sasha and Becky. You know,
I don't know. I don't know if I can comfortably agree with you saying that it wasn't a better wrestling match.
No, I said it was a better wrestling. Oh,
no,
Sasha Becky, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but that is one hell of a debate, isn't it? Jesus, one we're not ready for, I fear.
No.
On this podcast, not at the moment at least. So, but these guys have beaten themselves for main roster match of the year, WWE main roster match.
Oh yeah.
The first two are John Cena 1, John Cena 2. You know, John Cena Owens. You know, go from there. So
1 and 2.
Who knows? Maybe they'll make it a hat trick. You know, on main roster ones, but they're pulling out all the stops, putting on some clinics. They really are, Jesus. PTP, the Primetime Players versus the New Day for the tag team titles. Now, obviously, this match wasn't as great as the one preceded it. Not many would be, but I think it was okay.
It definitely was one of those. Follow that. Oh.
Yeah, they couldn't really, but. It was okay, this match. It wasn't great. It was okay. As much as we like the Primetime Players, it was okay. Titus O'Neil rides the hot tag into essentially winning the tag team championships. Sorry. Yeah. It is the Primetime Players' first titles that they've had. So
it's crazy to think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see this coming, and it was a bad week for New Day because Kofi Kingston getting obliterated, then they lose their tag titles. So
yeah,
not exactly great.
I mean, yeah, again, they were making the use of the like the fabulous Freebird ruling that they are allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Considering it's like, oh, we're going to get Xavier Woods wrestling. Okay.
Yeah. And he probably wrestles the least out of the three of them. You know.
Yeah.
So. With this match, I'm happy for Primetime Players. They didn't get as much of a response because the crowd were exhausted from the earlier match, and this was a buffer match.
And they would be right to be exhausted.
But you know, like I said, I'm happy for them. They do deserve it as much as any other tag team. They've put in the hours. Jesus Christ, Darren Young has done as much as he can to kind of get eyeballs on him. And I'm not talking about him coming out as gay, but those awesome video packages he produces himself for himself. So. And I've always thought Titus should be... I mean, look at the guy. Look at his frame. Look at the size of him. Man, he should be doing a lot more with that. Jesus, like... He doesn't even have to be that good in the ring because his frame and his size and his physique do everything. And he's got charisma. So, I'm glad for you. Everyone knows on this podcast.
We are PTP fans.
We are very big PTP fans. And if me and Matt together, we probably would have done the dance upon them winning the championships. But... alas, you can't do that dance alone. You can't do that.
That's it.
One question I'll say to you, Matt, before we move on. How much do you think they earned from winning these titles?
How much they earned from it?
Yeah.
Probably not a great deal.
Oh, okay. I was thinking...
I don't know.
Millions of dollars!
Yeah.
Millions of dollars!
That one completely went over my head.
It did a bit, yeah. The
How
joke...
much did they earn? I don't know.
I was the quarterback throwing the joke, and man, did you fucking miss that.
I fumbled.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You fumbled. Oh well, next time. And one thing I will say though, unfortunately for Primetime Players, is that they are transitional champions. I can say it now. They're saving those belts for when Harper and Rowan take them off them. So it is sad to say, but they would probably have a good month, maybe 2 months with those belts. Probably drop them at SummerSlam. That's probably how I see it going. But this leads to the main event: Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. In a ladder
what
match.
I'd like to call how to have a ladder match.
Yes, essentially a play-by-play on how you have a very high-quality, barbaric, brutal, damaging, engaging, killer ladder match. All the other descriptions you want to use for it here. Everything I'd say a hardcore match, you know, if you look at it in that sense, without the blood. I think you could probably use that, especially chairs being used.
Yeah.
all along those lines. This match was very, very good. I'd say on par with Owens and well, kind of a little bit lower, I'd say, than Owens and Cena, because I do enjoy just having singles matches and seeing those people go against each other without the other stuff. But still, Ambrose sold an injury here. His leg got kind of battered throughout the match, and he sold it well. I hope he continues that on Raw and doesn't skip down laughing at everyone that his leg isn't hurting, because I hate that. Everyone,
you know it's going to happen.
Yeah, he's
Hell, they had after that Hell in a Cell match. It's like, and I'm okay.
He came out without a fucking scratch. It was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, these guys have a great match. There's lots of big bumps. These guys definitely put their bodies on the line for this match. But like I said, both men, Rollins and Ambrose, took a lot of beating in this match and gave it their all. Probably trying to make a statement. They had a lot of time. They had 35 minutes. This match was.
I was really shocked. I was sort of having a quick peek. I was like, really?
Yeah, 35 minutes. That's a long time, really, for nowadays for a match, anyway.
Yeah.
For a single full singles match, that is a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it in this sense, Owens and Cena was 20 minutes, so it's almost double Owens Cena time. So, and they filled that time well. You know, kudos to them. They did well with that time. Let's talk about the finish. I did say at the beginning of this review there was 2 moronic endings. Congratulations, the second one's coming right up. So at the end of the match, both men are up on the ladder. Bear in mind this is after Ambrose has been annihilated outside, but still managed to get up to the
both
ladder.
men are up the ladder somehow.
Yeah.
Because that running sit out powerbomb onto the chairs and the ladder, I was like, oh, ow.
Yeah, but Ambrose manages to get up even in regards to that. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
he has to sell a beating on Raw. I hope he does. I will freak if he doesn't. They're both holding the belt. The belt dislodges. They both fall. They land. And then the bell rings, and they basically state that Seth Rollins wins the belt, because essentially, as they land, he kind of grabs the belt himself, right?
Yeah.
And
like as he lands, like you can clearly see just Ambrose just like, bye-bye belt.
yeah,
Just let go.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
and the fans didn't pop because they didn't know that was the finish, because it was a shit finish. So let's talk about the reason why this one's moronic, but as if you don't already know just from hearing about that particular finish. I always thought that it was the moment that the belt was taken off was the main moment that the match ends. So technically it's a draw. But if you want to look at it, because WWE have done this at times where it's the person who grabs it after it's been dislodged, you know? Well, if that's the case, Ambrose fell. And yes, he did eventually let go of the belt, but he fell, landed on the ground with his hand still on the title. So it's still a draw.
Yeah. There's no arguing. It's
a draw. You know, Seth Rollins is still the champion. Hell, they could have done that finish. They could have announced both men grabbed the title. It is now a draw. You know, and that way Ambrose can walk out saying, well, I didn't really lose. You know, and then later on it can lead, you know, once the whole Lesnar stuff is done and it's time for him to win the belt, he's got a legitimate gripe, you know. But no, they announced Seth Rollins as the winner and the champion. And it's just, it was a really... It's not botched. They did exactly what they wanted to. It was just a really fucking bad idea. To the point that I looked at the screen and I was like, what?
deaf air.
That doesn't make any sense. And the more I thought about it, the less sense it made. Especially as they're slowing these replays that prove Rollins won the belt, yet Ambrose is still holding on to it as they both fall and land.
Watch as he holds on. He doesn't. He lets go.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
I don't get it.
Whoever thought about it needs to look in the mirror and think, okay, I need to stop booking finishes like these. And if it was the same person who did the Divas, fuck me, did I have a bad day at the office? Jesus, that was...
There needs to be a stern talking to with that guy.
Yeah. It was stupid. It was a stupid ending. And I've seen a lot of people stating, oh, a lot of people wanted Rollins to be looked at as a tough champion. That's why he had to win this clean. It's like, yeah, he didn't win the match.
I completely get that, but
he didn't win the match. It was a draw. I know you could announce Rollins as being champion, but what I saw in my eyes, you know, if you had seen it and they hadn't announced Rollins' theme music and you hadn't listened to the commentators, you would have thought that was a draw.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else. I mean, that's never been done before. There was no precedence for it. Like I said, the crowd went kind of silent because they didn't know what was going on.
It's just like, Do we cheer?
Yeah.
Do we boo? I don't get it.
I mean, you either go one or two ways. If you're going to give Rollins the win, give him the decisive win, which I'm against, because it makes Ambrose seem like a really like a pussy. Like he's just been fucking around
Just
with this guy's
every
belt.
corner, just like, no. Oh.
Yeah. And you know, the fact is that the heel winning without any help, I don't like that. You know, as well. Even though they're trying to make a point, because they're trying to make it credible to go against Lesnar, so I get it.
Yeah.
Or you go with the other thing, where you make it a draw, so it saves both men. Rollins, he manages to escape with his belt again. How did he do it? It's so frustrating. You want this guy to lose the title because he's a heel, right? But Ambrose can say then in 4 months' time, when it is his time, well, you know what? Who matter the champion is? Technically, I never lost. I drew.
Yeah.
So I should deserve another match for the WWE title.
Yeah. Where's my chance?
Yeah. I mean, as you said, I didn't lose, but they decided not to go with that. So now Ambrose looks very forlorn in the ring, wondering how the fuck he lost. I imagine because he held on to the fucking title. Oh, it's just stupid. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I imagine, obviously, you're the same, Matt. You just thought
I was very much looking at it, just like, oh, the fuck?
What? Yeah, like what were you trying to accomplish? Like,
yeah, I don't understand what just happened.
Do you think maybe it was someone trying to be too fancy for their own good?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh, let's get it right down to the finish, like till the last minute. Nobody knows, like, oh.
Yeah. It's someone trying to be a bit too clever. That's how I deem it, anyway. So this leads us to a review of the entire show. Should you go and watch this show? Yes, because there are two phenomenal.
But how much of it? Not a great deal.
Well, yeah,
I mean, saying not a great deal, but that kind of like
the Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Yeah, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
Cena Owens.
And even some of the other matches, like PTP New Day, was still okay. You know, you still want to watch it for them winning the belts. The Divas match, maybe not so much, because the ending is abysmal, and the match was meh. It was alright, it was decent. But, yeah, I'd say it was definitely worth a watch. I think you should take your time and watch this pay-per-view. Especially as now we're out of this huge array of having 3 pay-per-views over a course of like a month's time.
Oh, God.
And now we can have a big break now going into... I've never been so happy to see mid-monthers. Jesus Christ.
That's it. It's like, in 5 weeks. 5 weeks? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Like, so much time away.
I know, they can build up to it. It'd be amazing. But,
actually, there's one thing we didn't even mention, the fact that Wyatt got involved in the Money in the Bank match.
Oh, yeah, they're leading to a Wyatt. I don't know.
The fact they've already announced it, like, at Battleground, we're going to have Reigns Wyatt.
Yeah, like an hour after it happened.
A chance to develop into a story.
Yeah.
No, they're going to fight.
I know, I thought that was stupid.
What?
Especially as you say, they've got 5 weeks. It's not like they need to rush now, you know. And, you know, I don't like that. And we'll explain that on Raw. I don't like this pairing. The match itself would be good, but it's just all about Wyatt. And people know my thoughts about him, so I won't rant on about too much about it now. But that's where we leave you there with the review of this, guys. A thumbs up for this show, apart from those few just nonsensical, moronic finishes. But it was a good show. It was a good pay-per-view. With some good fun stuff on it. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with there, Matt? Or will I plug away?
No, plug away.
I will plug away. It was my destiny to plug away. If you guys want to be one of our 300 subscribers, we are very slowly getting up to that point. Very close, by the way. It's just a matter of someone just clicking that subscribe button. It could be you listening to this particular episode. Then you can be part of one of our 300 subscribers on the channel. If you also want to ask us a question, you can leave it on the comments section below, or you can tweet us at
Talk Wrestle Pod.
At Talk Wrestle Pod, that's right. And you can like the video, share it with your friends, try and get as much support as you can for the show. We do appreciate that. And apart from that, then you can catch our regular show on the weekends. That's where we do most of our work anyway, in regards to that. And like I said, this week, because we're recording a lot earlier, you want to get your questions in early, guys, because we might end up having to do it next week otherwise. So
that's it.
That. So thank you.
No man left behind.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy the review. Like I said, leave us your thoughts. We hope you have a great week, and we will catch you then again at the weekend for our Raw review and all that other business. So
that's it.
all right then, bye bye guys.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.